What is going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges back with you on a Wednesday night. We are rolling through the work week. Hope everybody's having a great night. A lot to talk about tonight. We have a new cold front coming through. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Golfing Ferdy. Hope everybody's doing well. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? On this chilly Wednesday night, and it's about to get colder because of a new cold front working its way into Florida. It's not quite here yet. It will be here tomorrow, really in the morning, and we're going to feel some of that cooler air trickle down the Florida Peninsula during the evening with the coldest round of air settling in Friday morning by the time that you wake up. So, in the Florida forecast tonight, we are breaking down the timeline of this new front and just how cool we are going to be. And today is Wednesday. And Wednesday in the off season, and I call the off season when we're not talking about hurricane season and not tracking storms, because a lot of times we don't have time to get into some of the other stuff because there's a lot of action going on, whether we're tracking the hurricanes, tracking tropical storms, and tracking our daily thunderstorms in the summer. So this gives us an opportunity to kind of branch out a little bit. And Wednesday's flavor is going to be Weather Headlines Wednesday, where we're going to inspect some of the weather outside of Central Florida, talk about what's going on, and if we need to break down what is going on, we're going to explain what the heck is happening with that certain type of weather phenomenon. So I hope you like this. I hope you like the different topics that are going to be assigned to each day as we pass forward into the week. So welcome to Weather Headlines Wednesday. We will get to that after the first break, and of course, if there's time at the end, we're going to get to some of the comments or on our way through at any time. But anytime forward. Melissa, it likely feels cooler because it's like a humid 54. There's a lot more moisture in the atmosphere than so it's like a damp cold. It feels kind of rough out there. But it's likely having to do with the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. Typically, when we're this chilly, it's a little drier out. There is our cold front right now. This is going to be the new one that comes through. It's working its way just across the state line, and that is going to push in really overnight by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. And that is going to help to give us that drier, cooler air. The breeze is going to crank up again on your Thursday. So it is going to turn a little more breezy than it was today. That's something that we're going to have to contend with. But that breeze is going to be out of the north, and that's what's helping to pump in that cooler, drier air. In that same sentence, we are that breeze bringing that drier air is going to allow the sunshine to come back in dominant fashion, not only for most of Thursday, not only for most of Friday, but really for the entirety of the weekend. And the weekend forecast looks amazing in Central Florida. I mean, it doesn't get much better. Start in the low to mid 50s, high temperatures getting back to the mid 70s. So that's kind of like I'm giving the ending away here, but it's going to be fantastic by the time we get to the weekend. Temperatures right now are right in the mid 50s in Orlando. We're at 51 in Jacksonville, Pensacola. If I have anybody tuning in from the Florida Panhandle, hope you're doing well tonight. We're at 58 in Pensacola. Still nice and toasty in Miami. We're at 73 degrees. Fort Myers checking in at 61. High temperatures tomorrow. This is behind the front now, so we'll kind of notice this during the day. The sun's going to come out, but as the sun is up, trying to warm things up a little bit, we are going to be watching that cooler, drier air kind of spill right back down the Florida Peninsula. So Pensacola, Tallahassee, Jacksonville, we're in the upper 50s. Everybody through the state of Florida, though, has a big blue box overhead. That means everybody in the state tomorrow will be below average in the temperature department. The biggest departure for that is going to be the further north you are, closer to the core of colder air. I want to show you this. This kind of tells the story. So we're going to start this off at 1 o'clock in the morning. So a few hours from now, there is our cold front. Okay. By that point, it's northwest of Jacksonville. By that point, it is around Tallahassee, Port St. Joe, Apalachicola, if I can talk tonight. Ahead of it, we might see more clouds going to increase for a very short term. So if you're up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever, step outside, maybe walk the dog at that hour, and look up. There may be a few extra clouds coming back in. It's because of the front coming back through. So don't be alarmed like, oh my gosh, we're not going to get the sunshine back. There's 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We still might have some clouds around Orlando and Point South. We have sunshine from Jacksonville to Mobile to Pensacola, Port St. Joe, Gainesville, Ocala, St. Augustine, Palm Coast. Everybody in the sunshine. And then there we go. By lunchtime, most, if not all, of north central Florida out of the clouds. The only spot, Palm Bay, Melbourne, Yeehaw Junction, Kenansville, Micco, we may still be stuck in the clouds for a little while longer. But don't worry. I mean, by 2 o'clock, I think everybody's out of the clouds. The clouds are down closer to Lake Okeechobee, so we'll still be dealing with that. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, the Keys, Fort Myers, and all that. But high pressure building in. It's going to do a couple things. It's going to help us keep our skies clear Thursday afternoon and into Friday morning, and really for the weekend. But as it comes in and it sits on top of Central Florida early Friday morning, it's going to help to keep the winds calm. And when we have clear skies, calm winds, it really helps the temperatures to plummet a little bit. Before I get to the forecast for the weekend, again, that high pressure again going to be there. Don't want this to move. I have to pause this because I want to show you what it's going to be right there at the beginning of the period, which is going to be on Friday morning. A little chilly. Back to the 40s in Orlando and Tampa. Jacksonville at 41. 39 in Tallahassee, 41 in Jacksonville. So it is going to be a little chilly coming back as we move into Friday. Cool start on Saturday too, but again, we're back to the mid-70s in the afternoon. Sunshine basically dominant as we move through the day on Saturday. So that's kind of the weather in a nutshell. A mini up and down with the coldest part of the day, the coldest morning, coming on Friday. Hey, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I don't know why YouTube is weird about the notifications anymore. It's kind of weird. But nonetheless, I'm glad you're here. But we're here every 9:30. So if you want to hang out, I guess set an alarm. Maybe. But good to see you as always, my friend. So yeah, chilly, a little breezy as well. Once we pull out of the chill, so Friday afternoon, a little breezy, but that breeze is going to help to start to pump in some of the warmth. Alrighty, guys, on the other side of this break, we are going national. There are two big weather stories happening right now. A major atmospheric river event in the Pacific Northwest. They could be dealing with some catastrophic flooding over the next couple of days as the rivers come up. We're going to take a look at that system and talk about what actually is an atmospheric river. And then we're going to talk about clipper season. A couple of Alberta clippers are rolling across the northern tier of the country. They're providing some snow to the north. They are providing some big time cold to the north. That is their job, to like have these systems kind of dislodge all of the chill that's hanging out in Canada and then bring it down into the lower 48. Don't think the core of that's coming to Florida this time. And we're going to take a look why. It's partially to do with why I think we are going to be super warm on Christmas Day. If you like the warmth on Christmas, I think it's going to be pretty warm in Florida. We showed you that in our long range Monday outlook on Monday, that I thought we would be warm, even though there was a lot of pages on Facebook that were talking about like single digit low temperatures as far south as Arkansas. I think it's going to go the other way. I think it's going to be really, really warm outside. So we're going to talk about that too. We're going to have an update on that. I promise you guys, even though it's not the long range Monday segment, that we are going to be, that I don't know, we're going to the long range Monday segment, that we would keep you updated up until Christmas, because long range forecasting is fun. So we're going to get all into that in just 1 second, right after this short break. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. We are talking about the Florida forecast, obviously. We just talked about the cooler air that's going to be spilling in later on tonight and really during the day tomorrow. Friday night is going to be the chilly night of the bunch. And then I think from there, we start to warm things back up again, where it is going to be brutally cold across the northern tier of the country. Again, it's going to get chilly here, but I don't believe that we are going to see the core of the colder air because we have a nice chunk of high pressure kind of protecting us. Here's where we stand right now. You can clearly see where the cold is starting to invade the country again. International Falls, Minnesota, it's 1 degree above right now. It's even colder just to the west in that deep pink color. Minot, it's at 12 above. And in the Twin Cities, it is at 20 degrees Fahrenheit at this time. Compare that to 73 in Miami right now. So that is the cold air that is hanging out to the west into the upper Midwest. In the Pacific Northwest, we have what we call an atmospheric river. So it's basically literally a river of water vapor that is being slammed into the United States. And what makes these things so significant is that this moisture is running into the very mountainous terrain of either the Cascades or sometimes through the mountains of California, the Sierra Nevadas, and it really helps to wring out all of the moisture. So this is why it's called a river, because it kind of looks like a river here. If you see this swirl out towards the brown, that's where that area of low pressure is, kind of forcing the moisture in a narrow ribbon. And then back here where we have this clockwise motion, that's where we have an upper high pressure system. And that is helping to force all of the moisture right into this steady stream and then guide it toward Portland, Seattle, Idaho, Montana, into Wyoming. So they're going to be dealing with a lot of flooding and a lot of heavy snow in the extreme tip tops. There's a lot of the mountains. There's a lot of warmth out there as well. So a lot of this is falling as rain even into the highest elevation. So that is an atmospheric river event. Again, it looks like literally a river in the sky, and the water vapor imagery does a fantastic job picking up on that stuff. We have our next Clipper system actually developing before our eyes here. And what a Clipper system is, it is just a fast moving, moisture starved area of low pressure that originates in the mountainous terrain of Canada. Typically, they're Alberta. That's why they're called Alberta Clippers. Sometimes they form in Saskatchewan, so they're also known as Saskatchewan Screamers, or they may form in Manitoba, and they're called Manitoba Maulers. So kind of weird. The most common one is the Alberta Clipper because what happens is you get, well, let's go to the upper level pattern, and you get a ridge to build out west over the Canadian Rockies. And as that happens, you get an area of low pressure to develop just right there. And what happens is you get the warm front to develop right along it at the surface. I'm using an upper level chart to draw surface features. Don't mind that, but it is born of these kind of areas of low pressure that cross the Rockies. And then you have the cold front that comes down here. And these guys typically bring a lot of cold with them as they are screaming across the northern tier of the country. Moisture starved in the sense that when we're talking about like nor'easters that develop out here and move up, there is ample moisture to tap into. Up here, there is no moisture. So they typically don't have a lot of moisture with them. They bring a decent amount of snow at times because of the snow ratio. And that's something we can get to another time. That about 1 inch of rain would fall equals 10 inches of snow on average. And it depends upon a bunch of things where the crystals are being grown in that part of the atmosphere, how cold it is at the surface, and where the crystals of the snow are being grown. So there's a lot of atmospheric chemistry and atmospheric physics involved in snowflake formation and how much snow actually falls with the amount of moisture that is present. So really, really cool. I love that stuff. I love winter forecasting. It's a lot of fun. But in this pattern, there are a couple of clippers that are just continuing to drape across like a nice healthy batch of snow in that area, give or take. So the other part that's bringing the big time cold, watch these kind of watch these areas here, these little donut holes. These are lobes of the polar vortex that have kind of broken off. We talked about that sudden stratus forming event, middle of November. That was the hoopla around the internet and these jargon terms being thrown around. It happened. We knew it was happening, and it could go one of two ways. It could disrupt the polar vortex, the polar jet stream, and make it wavy and allow some cold to sneak on through. And that's exactly what it's doing. You see these lobes where they get the closed circles, and that's really cold air that continues to work its way across the northern tier of the country. Note that they're not very deep. They don't come through the deep south at all. We get a little bit of it as it's working their way down from the north and west, and that's why we're going to be cooler again tomorrow a little bit, and cooler on Friday, and then cooler a little bit at times next week. But then notice how we have this. This is next Monday. So this is the Monday before the Monday of Christmas week. We're going to be watching this chunk of high pressure and that chunk of high pressure, because that, I believe, is going to lead to this getting into Christmas week. And I have a full video and a full story dropping at 5 a.m. tomorrow on clickorlando.com that's going to highlight my thoughts on the warmth. Of course, you get the inside scoop because we've been tracking this together since Monday. But what we're looking at here are the temperature anomalies, and the darker the red and magenta, that is how much warmer than normal it is. And this blowtorch status, look at this. Look how purple that is. And I don't know that it may not be this extreme, but I mean, you're talking out by St. Louis. If anybody's traveling this way, whatever their average temperature is, add 20 to 30 degrees to it. Very warm. For us in Orlando, it's not as extreme relative to normal because it is typically warm. Our average high temperature on Christmas Day is 73 degrees. And let me get my dabber back out here, and you see the 5-degree thing. So this is not the temperature. This is the temperature anomaly. So when you see 25 degrees near Dallas, it's not going to be that cold. When you see 5 degrees over Orlando, that's not what it's saying. It's saying that it's 5 degrees above average. Our average is 73. So I really think that there is a shot that there are multiple spots in Florida that are going to make a run for 80 degrees. And yes, if you're wondering, that would put us warmer on Christmas than where we were on Thanksgiving Day. All right, I blew past my second break time. I have to get to the break. On the way back, if you have any questions, we'll have a couple of minutes to answer some questions or just to shoot the breeze about the weather. I'll see you guys in 3 minutes. What's going on, guys? So I want to take this full screen real quick. We were talking about the Clipper systems. I had at Syracuse, New York, and look at the snow coming down. That's the middle box there on the camera. I always like to sometimes branch out and show you what's going on. Since it is Weather Headlines Wednesday, and we're looking at some of the Clipper systems, and you can see the radar there where the airport delays are cycling through. Um, there's the heavy snow coming down in Syracuse, New York right now. So some cool stuff. Hey, Jody, good to see you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Great to see you on the stream again. I think, let's see, we had a question here. GSRSATLOL 715. Sorry, I just butchered her name. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and I can help you out there. I just don't see much cold across the country for Christmas. It was the fear when we started things off so great that we might cycle back around to it being warm for Christmas. And again, there it is. But nonetheless, wild stuff. Let's see. Hey, Marky D48, with a warmer weather pattern coming for Christmas, do you see us with more humidity and rain to help the dry conditions? Maybe a little bit of extra humidity in this kind of pattern when we're dealing with a gigantic ridge of high pressure overhead that typically leads it to be on the drier side. And the other thing is, I always come back to this, and we're going to use this a lot for reference here. This looks a heck of a lot like what it's going to look like over the next 7 to 10 days, with the cold skirting across the northern tier of the country, and then the warmth really building across the south. A typical La Nina winter. And I think, again, once we get past these few cold shots, maybe one in early January, I just think we have a runaway blowtorch in the southeast. And that's not good for drought situation either, which we will check up on tomorrow. Our time is up. Elizabeth, great to see you. Welcome back to the chat. Hope you're doing well. And tomorrow we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to break down again. We're going to check in on this winter pattern again or the warm pattern for Christmas. We're going to keep tabs on that. Promise we would. And then we're going to add astronomy to the list. We're going to take a look at what's in the night sky. My favorite meteor shower of the year peaks over the weekend. So we're going to talk about that and how to see it. I think it's possible for sure with how crazy the weather is and the jet stream being super wavy at times. I definitely think there's a shot to somehow see snowflakes in Central Florida. I mean, the Panhandle just got like a foot last year, so it wasn't that far off. So I definitely think it's possible. It's very improbable, but that's kind of like a once in a lifetime, once in a generation kind of a deal. But yeah, I'll never say never to that. Alrighty, guys, I have to run. I'll see you on 10 o'clock. We're going to have the latest on the cool air coming in and the gorgeous weekend coming down the pipeline on News 6 at 10. If you're watching on News 6 Plus, you know the drill. Keep it parked right where you are in your lazy chair. If you're watching on YouTube, just find the other thumbnail that says News 6 at 10. See you in a couple of minutes, guys. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow, News 6 at 9:30 on a Thursday.